Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really embarking on quite a fascinating journey, I think,
Mm-hmm.
into personal development.
Hmm.
Specifically, we're exploring, the whole world of self-help books and how they connect deeply with psychological principles.
Right.
You mentioned wanting to get a handle on this area sort of quickly, but also thoroughly, and, well, that's exactly our aim today.
Yeah,
We're going
absolutely.
to trace the evolution of self-help, from its early philosophical stirrings right up to the, wow, incredibly diverse approaches we see today.
It's quite a range now.
It is. Think of this as like your personalized backstage pass, getting you up to speed on the key players and the big ideas in personal growth literature.
Exactly. And we've got this document that it lays out a really rich historical landscape of self-help and crucially its relationship with psychology, how they intertwine.
Uh-huh.
It highlights the pivotal thinkers, the movements that have really fundamentally shaped how we think about our own personal evolution.
Okay, good.
Mm.
So our goal then is to sort of pull out the most potent insights from this overview,
Mm.
give you a clear picture of the major milestones, the individuals who've left a real mark on the self-help world.
Yeah.
We want to shed light on where popular self-help ideas actually come from,
Mm.
how they resonate with psychological understanding, but keep it engaging, digestible.
Been moving, yeah.
Right. And you might actually be surprised to learn, I think, that the self-help movement isn't just some, like, modern fad.
Oh, no, not at all.
Its roots stretch way back
Mm.
into the 19th century, believe it or not,
Mm.
with ideas that, well, still hold power today.
They really do.
So let's unpack this evolution. Let's see what really enduring takeaways emerge.
What's fascinating right from the very beginning is that this wasn't just people, offering vague feel-good advice. No, there were real shifts happening in how people thought about their own agency, their potential.
Okay, right. Let's dive into these early foundations then.
Yeah.
The document points to the late 19th and early 20th centuries as a really formative time. And it starts with something called the New Thought movement.
Yes, the New Thought movement. It was gaining momentum late 1800s, early 1900s, a pretty significant philosophical and spiritual shift, actually.
Right.
It put enormous emphasis on the power of the mind, the core idea being that our thoughts actively shape our reality.
Wow.
Yeah. Influential figures like Ralph Waldo Emerson, William James, they were instrumental in exploring this, well, pretty radical idea back then.
What strikes me there is how these early thinkers, without all the rigorous research methods we have now,
Right. None of that.
they just intuitively grasped the power of our internal state. That insight that your beliefs weren't just reflecting reality, but actually shaping it.
That's the key.
That's huge. It empowered people, right?
Yeah.
To take control from the inside out. This
Right.
early link between mindset and outcomes. It really laid the groundwork for so much that came later.
Absolutely. And building right on that foundation, we saw the rise of what the document calls the pioneers of practical psychology.
That is simply psychology, okay.
Yeah, authors like Orison Swett Marden, James Allen, they started focusing on more concrete things.
Yeah.
Character building, having a positive attitude, harnessing willpower.
So these were the folks who started translating those bigger philosophical ideas into, like, actual guidance for success and happiness.
Pretty much, yeah.
So this is basically the start of the self-help genre as we kind of know it,
You could say that, yeah, it's the genesis.
which, kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, how much of today's self-help stuff really just echoes those really fundamental early concepts about mindset and taking charge?
It's actually remarkable how many of those core ideas have stuck around. They're still central.
Huh.
And the document, it highlights some key figures from back then. Wallace D. Wattles, for instance, his 1910 book, The Science of Getting Rich.
Right. That title is certainly direct.
It is.
And it points out his focus on mentality.
Right.
And visualization.
Exactly. Mentality and visualization.
What's really significant there, I think, is just how early this idea took hold.
Yeah.
Using your mind to achieve financial success. It's a thread you see just woven through everything since, hasn't it?
It really is a persistent thread. And then, of course, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, 1937, a landmark book.
Huge book.
Still is.
Yeah. It really amplified those earlier ideas about positive thinking, but added crucial bits about perseverance and the need for really clear, defined goals.
What's fascinating to me about Think and Grow Rich is just how popular it still is. Decades later, people are reading it, finding it influential.
It's incredible.
It really says something about those foundational principles, doesn't it? Makes you think maybe we underestimate the power of these these seemingly simple concepts sometimes.
It does make you think. And we can't forget Dale Carnegie, 1936, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Ah, another classic, definitely. And this marked a slight but really significant shift in focus, more towards interpersonal relationships, communication, social skills.
That's a crucial point. Carnegie's big insight, wasn't it? That genuine interest in other people is the key to influence, not manipulation.
Precisely. A principle that's, well, surprisingly overlooked sometimes, even now.
Yeah. It highlights that early understanding that success isn't just an internal game. It's deeply tied to how we connect, how we interact with others. Those social skills were seen as vital early on.
So we've seen those early seeds, right? Mindset, practical advice. Now, moving into the mid-20th century, there's a big shift. Psychology starts having a much bigger influence,
Right.
ushering in what the document calls the golden age of self-help.
Okay, the golden age.
Right.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Humanistic psychology comes onto the scene. People like Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers.
Exactly. They introduced really groundbreaking concepts, things like self-actualization.
That drives to reach your full potential.
Right, that inherent drive. And they put a strong emphasis on human potential generally and the fundamental importance of self-esteem.
And humanistic psychology, that was different from earlier schools, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It really focused on the individual's capacity for growth, self-direction.
Absolutely. And this is a really crucial turning point because psychology starts feeding directly into self-help approaches, much more explicitly.
Right. It's not just parallel tracks anymore.
No, they're integrating. And the focus broadens beyond just, external achievements. It starts encompassing inner growth, the search for meaning, understanding yourself on a deeper level.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't just about ticking boxes anymore. There was this growing focus on, well, inner well-being, self-discovery, your inherent value. And the document also mentions the influence of spirituality around this time, specifically Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yes, Peele's book came out in '52, hugely popular. It really explored that connection between faith, your mental attitude, and your overall well-being.
Interesting mix.
It was a noticeable merging of psychological ideas with spiritual teachings, offering people a more holistic way of looking at personal development.
Which raises a question, I suppose.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that recurring role of belief systems?
Yeah.
Whether they're spiritual or secular, they seem to pop up consistently in this journey of personal growth, don't they?
It certainly seems to be a powerful and, persistent element. Belief matters. And the document points to some really impactful works from this golden age. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, 1946. That one really stands out.
Oh, Man's Search for Meaning is just profound. It really dug into human resilience, didn't it? And that fundamental need we have to find meaning even in the absolute worst circumstances. And what's significant there is that shift again towards the internal search, the quest for purpose, like you said earlier.
Precisely. And then you have Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world, from '68. Now, that one's presented as an inspiring fable, but it cleverly combines spiritual principles with very practical, actionable strategies for success, both personal and professional.
Ah, using story.
Yeah. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, you really see how storytelling became this increasingly powerful tool in self-help.
Yeah.
Made the messages more relatable, more memorable.
Right. Easier to grasp than just abstract principles sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift now into the more contemporary era. Late 20th, 21st centuries. The document talks about the rise of coaching and personal development gurus.
Yes. This is where we see figures like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy. They really rise to prominence, popularizing coaching methods, specific techniques like neurolinguistic programming, NLP.
NLP, right. That's
Oh.
a set of communication and behavioral techniques used in coaching.
Exactly, to help people achieve specific outcomes. And this is another crucial turning point, I think.
Also,
Because we start seeing much more structured, action-oriented approaches, it shifts a bit from those broader philosophical explorations towards more concrete step-by-step tools. Goal setting, overcoming obstacles in a very practical way.
a lot of more tactical maybe.
Yeah, you could say that. And alongside this more directive approach, the document also highlights the mindfulness and positive psychology revolutions. Huge impact.
Okay, tell me about those.
Well, authors like Eckhart Tolle with The Power of Now, John Kabat-Zinn, they brought mindfulness practice to a massive audience, highlighting the benefits for stress reduction, general well-being.
Right, mindfulness became much more mainstream.
Totally. And at the same time, you have positive psychology, really championed by Martin Seligman. And that shifted psychology's focus. not just on fixing what's wrong, but on actively studying and fostering well-being, understanding strengths like resilience, optimism.
That's a really interesting point. The growing emphasis in modern self-help on not just achievement, but on mental and emotional well-being. It's not only about hitting those external markers anymore, is it? There's a much bigger focus now on cultivating inner peace, psychological health.
Absolutely. And the sheer diversity of approaches now is, well, quite remarkable. The document's right. It covers a huge range of topics: time management, emotional intelligence, you name it.
Yeah.
And we've seen influential authors like Brené Brown offering totally new takes on things like vulnerability, authenticity, which is quite a shift from some of the older, maybe more traditionally stoic approaches.
That's true. Okay, so the document lists some key contemporary figures and works. Stephen R. Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. 1989, that one's huge.
Oh, massive. A prime example of that integrated, principle-centered approach. It really became a modern classic.
And what's striking is how relevant it still feels, right?
Yeah.
Decades later. Still widely used.
Absolutely. And then Wayne Dyer's Your Erroneous Zones. That was earlier, 76. But it played a really key role in exploring the psychology behind our behaviors, offering ways to overcome those limiting beliefs that, hold us back.
Right.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, you see that clear trend towards focusing more on identifying, addressing those internal barriers to growth.
Yeah, digging deeper into the why.
Mm-hmm.
That, of course, as we mentioned, Tony Robbins, books like Unlimited Power, Awaken the Giant Within. He's become this leading figure in personal development, motivation, known for that very dynamic, action-oriented style.
Definitely a major force.
Yeah.
And Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, back in 97. So instrumental in bringing mindfulness, the power of being present, to just a vast global audience. Changed a lot for many people.
It really did. And Brené Brown, with her research and writing on vulnerability, shame, empathy, she's really shifted the whole conversation, hasn't she, about what it means to live a wholehearted, authentic life. Really impactful work.
Huge impact. We also have Robin Sharma, author of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, The 5 a.m. Club. Popular books. He focuses on that intersection of personal development and productivity, often mixing practical tips with deeper insights.
Right. And the document also mentions Rafael Santandreu, a Spanish psychologist. Books like The Art of Not Bittering Your Life, offering a very sort of rational perspective.
Yeah, maybe even a bit contrarian sometimes. Focus on the power of our minds to manage emotions, find inner peace through rational thought.
Interesting. And finally, Miguel Ruiz, The 4 Agreements. That one's everywhere.
It is. Draws on ancient Toltec wisdom, apparently. But it's resonated deeply with so many people. Offers simple yet pretty profound guidance for living with more freedom and happiness.
Okay, wow. So reflecting on this whole landscape we've just covered, the document brings up some really important kind of overarching points to consider. First, it just underscores that self-help has evolved significantly. It mirrors broader shifts in society, in our understanding of psychology. It's not static.
Not at all. And it also makes that crucial point about approaching it all with critical thinking.
Yes.
It's so important to actually choose resources that align with your values, your needs, not just jump on the latest bandwagon.
Yeah. Absolutely. And finally, it emphasizes something really key. Self-help can be incredibly valuable, empowering,
For sure.
but it is absolutely not a substitute for professional therapy if you're dealing with significant mental health challenges.
Crucial distinction.
Which I guess raises that really important practical question for people listening. How do you know? How do you discern when self-help is okay and when it's really time to reach out for professional support from a therapist or counselor?
That is a vital distinction, yeah. Knowing when professional help is needed is really a key part of responsible personal growth and just looking after your well-being.
Okay. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, let's quickly summarize the key takeaways. We've journeyed through this rich history, right? Trace self-help's evolution from those early philosophical ideas through practical psychology, right up to the incredibly diverse approaches we have today.
And we've touched on numerous key figures: Wattles, Carnegie, Frankl, Covey, Tolle, so many others. And while they all offer different perspectives, you often see these complementary ideas popping up.
Yeah, reinforcing principles.
Exactly. Themes like the power of mindset, the importance of relationships, that growing focus on inner well-being, and always that need for actionable strategies. Those threads run through the whole thing.
And like we said at the start, understanding this evolution, it gives you valuable context, doesn't it, for the advice you encounter now.
Yeah, helps you place it.
Recognizing the roots, the principles, It can help you choose what really resonates with you and apply it more effectively in your own journey. You've got a broader framework now, hopefully, for navigating this vast field.
Indeed. A useful lens to view the current landscape through.
Definitely. So here's a final thought, maybe something provocative to chew on. Looking back at this whole diverse landscape we've explored, what single underlying principle do you think has been the most consistently powerful, the most universally applicable across all these different times, all these different approaches?
That's a good question.
Is it mindset? Is it taking action? Is it self-awareness? Or maybe something else entirely that just keeps coming up as the most crucial piece?
What's the constant thread?
Exactly. Something to really think about as you continue your own unique journey of learning and growth.